Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and this fall along, what I want to do is take a look at DocumentDB, which is a MongoDB compatible database. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we can utilize that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a new database. We have two options, an instance-based cluster and an Elastic cluster. I'm going to assume the Elastic cluster just scales and does all the work for you. So I guess it really depends on what you want to do. I'm going to go look up the pricing before we spin anything up. I just don't want to have any trouble working with this in terms of pricing if we decide to spin something up that is too expensive. So we'll go down to our costs and see if we can figure out what's going on here. So we have the sizes here for provisioned. I want to go down to Elastic. It's a new type of cluster. It elastically scales. Pay only for what you use. I like the sound of this. I don't know what the base cost is here. It looks like it's $132 per VPC. It's a bit expensive. It's like 13 cents per hour. So just understand that if you're not comfortable with these costs because you don't have the money, don't spin them up. I'm going to do an Elastic cluster here today. Call this MyDB, my document DB. If I could do one, I'll do one. If there's one shard, I'll do one shard. And I'll utilize the lowest capacity. We'll use the default VPC. We'll choose a couple of subnets. Today I'm working in North Virginia. Sometimes I have issues with CA Central 1, depending on if it goes into CA Central D. So that's why I'm working in US East 1 today. So we'll just have to make note of that. We're going to have to put in a username. So I'm going to call this admin. I'm going to try to make the password. And hopefully it will be fine with that. I'm going to type it again, just in case I got it wrong. PASSS. PASSWORD. PASSWORD. There we go. We'll use the default key encryption. I don't need backup, but I don't see an option to change it out of 1 day. We'll have no preference for our backup window, no preference for our maintenance. We'll go ahead and create our cluster. And it says we cannot use that because it's a reserved name. So I'm going to call this name doc admin. Okay, we'll see if that works. Okay, and so we'll just wait for that cluster to be ready. It's creating, so we'll wait for that to create, okay? While we're waiting for the cluster to create, I figured what we can do is go ahead and start setting up some MongoDB code. So what I'm going to do is go over to AWS examples, and I'm going to use Ruby just because I'm the most comfortable with it, and I feel that it's going to be very easy to use. Though I haven't used the MongoDB driver in a while, I'm sure we'll figure it out because I am a spectacular developer. So we'll give this a moment to spin up. While it is spinning up, I'm going to type in Ruby MongoDB. As I believe there is a driver directly from MongoDB. Now there are easier things out there, like at least in Ruby they call it. There's a adapter called Mongoid, which allows you to map structures to stuff. But I think that when you're working with anything, whether it's DynamoDB, MongoDB, you should use the most bare level driver so that you are not abstracting away functionality and then you end up in a situation where you don't know what you're working with. Let's go ahead and type in DocumentDB up here as a new folder. I'm going to go ahead and make a new Ruby file. I'm just going to call this main.rb. I'm going to cd into that directory. I'm going to generate out a gem file. In here, we will include awks because we always need something like awks or nokugiri. That's an XML parser. It's just specific to Ruby. A lot of libraries utilize it underneath. I need the MongoDB driver, which might just be called Mongo. Yep, it is. There we go. That's pretty straightforward. I'm going to add pry in here so I can debug things programmatically. I'm going to go ahead and type in bundle install, and we're going to install this stuff. You know, again, if you aren't using Gitpod, you'll have to install Ruby and go through a lot of work. You could use Cloud9, GitHub Codespaces, anything that will get you a developer environment. A lot of these are preloaded with Ruby, and this should work in either 2.7 or version 3 of Ruby. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, so we now have our driver installed, and so I'm going to go ahead and start requiring some stuff. So we'll require, holy smokes, get out of here. I do need that copy paste here. Hold on here. We'll say always allow. Okay. And so I'll try this again. Come on. Let me paste here today. There we go. And yeah, it's still acting a little bit funny. There we are. Cloud developer environments are like that. I'm going to go ahead and require pry. Okay, I'm going to go back over to here. And so we have a client connection. That's pretty straightforward. So far, pretty simple. I do like doing connection string URL, so we might do that instead. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy that because I do kind of prefer that syntax. But for now, I'll just comment it out. We'll go down below. And so the idea here is that we need to connect to our database. And then from here, we can return our collections, collection names, things like that. What I'm mostly interested in is inserting data into the database. So here we have this, so we can define a collection. And let's go ahead and see if we can do this. So I'm going to just copy this code here. And we might want to turn these into functions, so I might just say like insert here. And then the idea is that we can just call this put the client in here. So client. Actually, I probably would pass the collection, not the client. So we'll go down here and we'll grab these lines and these lines. And I'll pass in my collection instead. It just gives us a little bit of reusability. Okay. And just so we can see what's going on, I just could put a puts here. So that will be our insert. Let's go take a look and see how our database is doing. Give us a nice refresh here. It's still creating, so that's going to give us some time. So we have our insert. We'd probably want to read that data. Let's see if this basic tutorial lets us or shows us this. I actually do like that it's doing this multi-line one in here, so I kind of like that, but I guess we'll just do an insert one because that's what this one's doing here. So we'll do an insert one here. And I'll give us a little bit more room so we can see what we're doing. Oh, we have an insert many. And I'm just going to put some binding pries in here. The idea is that when we go into this, we'll be able to debug this stuff. And in fact, I'm actually not going to call these functions here. I'm actually going to put a binding pry here so that when this application starts running, we can start working with this programmatically and looking at the results. Okay, so say puts here. So let's go. We have the insert one, insert many. Let's go back over to here. I'm interested in querying. There we go. Here's a query. So we have the client, and then we could iterate through it like this. We could also find an element. I'm mostly just interested in looking at the elements. So we'll go ahead and we'll just say query here. And this wants a collection. These all want collections. I'll put a binding pry in here. There we go. I mean, we could also start this program up using IRB. We don't have to put binding pries necessarily in this way, but this is just the way I like to work. So just understand that's the case here. So I think we have some good stuff here. You can see it's not super complicated. You know, there's like updates, deletes, creating indexes, a bunch of stuff. I think that once you start pushing to collections, they automatically work. So I don't think we have to manually create a collection. It'll just work for us there. And so the next thing we'll want to do is just wait for this cluster to become available. So we'll wait till then, okay? All right, so our cluster is ready. All I did was wait for it to go active and then clicked into it. So I saw this active state. And then down below here, we actually have our connection string. So I'm assuming that there is a CLI that we can utilize. I guess I'm just not aware of that. So we'll just say Mongo CLI. And the reason why is that I've always used an SDK to connect to Mongo, and that was always the way that you did it. But it looks like there is now a Mongo shell, which is cool. Okay, I wouldn't know exactly what the syntax would be for this, but we could go ahead and install it. Let's go ahead and just see if we can do brew install on this. So I'm going to do brew. Oh, this is mucking up here. I'm going to give this a hard refresh here. But we'll try to do a brew install in this environment here and see if that installs the Mongo shell. And we have a few different things in here. So I'm going to assume that we want to do Mongo CLI. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make a new file here. And let's see if we can establish a connection. We'll go back over to our instructions here. So here it's suggesting we place our password in here. Mongo shell. I'm just going to put this in here so we have it. Brew install Mongo CLI. And our password here was just password. Don't tell anybody. And so we'll go ahead and see if this works. That'd be nice if it does. Mongo not found. I mean, I guess we installed the Mongo CLI. But I would think that the Mongo CLI would be for interacting with the local one. Okay. So the Mongo shell is not the same thing as the Mongo CLI? Oh, you know what the Mongo CLI is probably for? It's probably for interacting with MongoDB server. Okay, so that's not what we wanted. Yeah, so this is not the right one. And we'll go back over to here. And I guess we can download it. It's not exactly the way I'd like to utilize it, but it's actually Linux that we're looking for here. Oh, it's an interactive shell. JavaScript shell. Okay, if that's the case, I'm going to just go look at this up here. So Mongo npm shell. I'm going to assume, oh no, it's slightly different. Again, interactive, I could say Mongo interactive shell JS install. Because maybe it says Mongo sh. Linux. It's not making it easy here. But I guess we could do it this way. Or, what we can do is we can try do brew again. So we're going to do brew install Mongo sh. Maybe that's what we needed to do. There we go. And it's a bit risky when you are installing shells or CLI tools from brew because they could be out of date. Really depends on how it's maintained. I don't know anything about the Mongo shell and whether it's recommended to install from brew or not, but I'm going to do that. So I'm going to have to wait for this to complete. As that is putzing along, I'm going to go over back to our main.rb and configure this for connection. So we have the connection string URL, and I'm definitely going to use that because that just seems easier to work with. So go ahead and do this, and I'll go back over to here, and I have my MongoDB string. The thing I don't know is, do I have to configure a flag for it to connect with SSL? I don't know, but we'll go ahead and do that. Usually the protocol will sometimes indicate that with a plus SSL or plus S, or sorry, just an S on the end there. I don't know if that's the case here. And so we'll go ahead and see if we can establish our connection. So this is installing, it's taking up our Ruby tab. Not that we need to use that one in particular. I'm going to do a bundle init or bundle install in case I have yet to do so for our Ruby. And let's see if we can actually connect to this. So we'll go ahead and type in a bundle exec ruby main.rb. And it's saying there's something missing here, or there's a syntax error. So there's a syntax error here on line 41. It's this loop right here. That's where it is. And I'm just going to put out this document inspect. Okay. I think I meant to do that earlier. We'll go ahead and hit enter and see what happens. So it says it appears that we're connected to the cluster. That sounds really good. The reason it's hanging here is because I believe it's hit our binding pry. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what's happening here. Let's go ahead and type in collection. No, it's, oh, there we go. There we go. It was a bit delayed. Anyway, we'll type in collection here. So we have a collection. We can go ahead and type in client, see what we have here. All right, so yeah, we have our collection. So let's go ahead and see if we can insert something. So we'll say insert one collection. And we'll see if that works. I guess we don't really need the binding prize here. We usually don't do binding prize within binding prize. I just was thinking about that. That probably would muck it up. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And it is having a little bit of issues. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control C and exit. We'll try this one more time and establish a connection. Okay, we'll give it a moment. I'm going to just type in collection to tell it to work with the prompt here. We'll just give it a moment. While that is thinking, I'm going to go back over to here and see that it is now installed. So that is installed, which is great. We'll give that a test after we get some of our code working here. But this is having a severe delay. I'm not sure if we have to like open up security group rules or anything like that. Again, I don't work with DocumentDB too often. If I'm going to work with Mongo, I would usually use MongoDB's primary one, whatever they call theirs, if it's just called MongoDB on their platform. But yeah, it seems to be hanging. So this indicates to me that maybe there's a configuration issue. So what I'm going to do is go over to the security groups and take a look and see what is open. So I'm not sure if this is like, what do you call it? RDS, and we have to say like have public access. But you can see here that it allows Postgres access. This is just because it's an old one, probably that I modified. But I'm going to go ahead here and just open up. I really shouldn't do this on our default one, so I'm just going to save this rule here. I'm going to go back to security groups. I'm going to see if I can make a new one. And I'm going to say my MongoDB SG. And I'm going to add a new rule here. And maybe there is one for MongoDB already. Is there Mongo? No. Port for MongoDB, because I really don't know what it is. 27017. Okay. So we'll do that. We'll say from anywhere. And I will create that security group. Just copy that twice. And let's see if we can change out our security group here. So I'm going to go down and look for our security groups here. And we will choose our Mongo one. There we go. We'll modify this cluster. I'm not sure if that will be instantaneous. Probably won't be. So I'll have to wait for that to update, okay? So we'll just wait for that to update. It'll probably take a little bit of time. We'll be back here in just a moment. All right, so our update is complete there. And so now our security group should be open on that port 27017. We'll confirm that one more time just because I'm never 100% sure if I've done it correctly. 27017. So we'll go down here and take a look. 27017. Excellent. Okay. So now let's go ahead and see if we can establish a connection. So we'll go back over to here. I'm going to do Control C. I'm going to hit exit. And we'll see if we can establish our connection. Okay. Again, it might be the case that I'm not able to connect outside of that VPC because there was no like public accessible option. Also, I'm just curious, do we actually see any instances over here, or are they fully managed like everything else, like if you have an RDS instance? So we go over here. Yeah, so it is... Apparently I have an Apache Server 2 server running. Not sure why. I'm going to just stop that. Don't need that running. Unless I have like an ASG I don't know about. If you ever see things in your application that aren't supposed to be running, shut them down. Save yourself some money. But anyway, so we have opened that port, but we are still not able to connect, which indicates to me, yeah, we have a timeout. And so I'm thinking what's happening here is that we have to be part of that VPC in order to establish a connection. So, I mean, we wrote all this code, which is nice, but if we can't use it, that's kind of pointless. So what I'm thinking is that maybe we'll install the Mongo SH client into Cloud Shell. But Cloud Shell wouldn't help us either because Cloud Shell is not going to be within that VPC. So I think what we'll do to make our life super easy is we'll go ahead and launch a Cloud9 instance. Okay. And so we'll create an environment. And so we'll say MongoDB connection. So I have EC2 instance. T2 micro is fine. I don't know, can we have like a T3 micro? There we go. I'm going to switch that out. Amazon Linux 2023 is fine. I kind of prefer Ubuntu in this case because I don't know what Amazon Linux 2023 has. Amazon Linux 2020. No, we'll do Ubuntu because Ubuntu is just going to be easier to install whatever we need to install. We probably use Snap to install the Mongo SH client. And so we'll leave that as 30 minutes. This will be fine. I don't need to establish a connection other than the editor here, but we have those options. We'll go ahead and create this Cloud9 instance. And so I'm going to give this, you can see I have a bunch of older ones here. I'm going to click into this one, and we're going to wait for this to finish creating, okay? All right, after a short little wait, it looks like it is now open. We'll go ahead and go to open in Cloud9. And so we'll give this a moment to spin up. It's been a little while since I've used Cloud9. I used to use it quite a bit, but using the old UI, which is interesting. I believe that they have a more modern one that we could switch to, but I like that it starts in dark mode. I'm trying to remember, like, if it's not starting in dark mode, you can switch it somewhere here. It's somewhere in here. There's a way to change it. Probably preferences, themes. I don't know. There's some way here, but there is one thing that if I don't change will drive me crazy, and that will be the key bindings. Oh, mine's already set to Vim. Yeah, so it's picking up my theme, and you can change your theme. So we have Cloud9 here, and I know there's a more modern one, but I'm just going to stick with this one. It's totally fine. So yeah, yours is probably not going to look like this. Mine's obviously modified. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and see if we have Ruby installed. I do believe we do. Excellent. We have 3.22. So we can bring our code over there. But what I really want is the Mongo SH thing. So I'm going to assume that Snap's installed on here. Yeah, I think it is. We'll just type in sudo. And we'll see if that brings it over. So it did not. I'll try sudo apt-get install Mongo SH and see if that picks it up. It does not. So we'll say Ubuntu Mongo SH. I really was hoping that we could install it via Snap. Well, anyway, we'll work with our code first because we don't necessarily need to use the Mongo shell. So I'm going to make our the same stuff we had here before. So I'm going to go and just say bundle init here in our environment. And we'll go ahead and just place in some files in here. So we'll have gem pry, gem aux, gem Mongo. There we go. We'll go ahead and do a bundle install. And I actually find the interface here much nicer than Visual Studio Code, but obviously it's not as robust. So I'm going to just drop this down to 2 spaces because I don't want 4 spaces here. We'll make a new file here. And we'll say main.rb. And we'll click into that, and we'll bring our code over from our Git pod environment. Okay, so we'll go ahead and copy this. And it is somewhere here. Here we go. Okay. A little bit larger than I'd like. So I'm just going to shrink that. I'm just hitting Control- to do that. There we go. That's a bit more manageable. So now the question is, will this run? So we'll do bundle exec main.rb, ruby.main.rb. We'll hit enter. And so I don't see a delay, so it looks like we established a connection immediately. We need to kind of break the UI to get this to show here. And there we go. And it looks like we have a connection established. Took more than 10 seconds. Did it not work? I don't think it worked. And I need this to be smaller. I can't see what I'm doing here. We'll go into preferences here, into our user settings, your user interface. But I said there's like an easy way to search it. Terminal. Here at terminal. We'll just jump this down to something that is reasonable to read, like 14 for me. And we're getting timeouts. So I'm not exactly sure why we're getting timeouts. Let me just investigate, okay? So definitely access has to be in the same VPC, so we know that. But I guess the question is, how do we know if MongoDB is using SSL or TLS? MongoDB driver Ruby SSL. Like, how do we know if it's doing SSL or TLS? Or TLS. The driver will utilize protocols supported by the underlying Ruby OpenSSL extension, in turn the OpenSSL library. So apparently it should automatically do that. I don't think we have to set any flag for that to happen. We'll go back over to here. We'll go down below. I'm just going to kill this. We'll type in exit, and I'll try this again. I wonder if our issue is that we aren't just like running code right away. It's the binding pride that might be messing it up. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in collection here. And then we'll do the query. And so maybe this will fix our issue here. Okay, but it seems like it's timing out. All right, I guess the question is, are we in the correct region? We're in North Virginia here, right? And if we go over to our MongoDB instance, we're in North Virginia as well. The other thing is that we did open the port to everywhere, but we could make this even simpler. If we go to our network settings here, I don't think we can change the security groups after the fact, can we? But this one should get launched into the main one. So I'm going to go over to EC2. I remember like when you launch Cloud9 environments, you have to then update the security groups and change them over. But this one's probably using the default one. So if we go here and we look at security groups. Oh no, it actually we actually have one right here. Okay, so we have a custom one. Interesting. And it doesn't allow any inbound rules. Well, that would explain why it's not working. I'm going to go ahead and add a rule. And, well, I guess the issue isn't inbound. It's about what happens outbound, right? So what I'm going to do here, I'm not sure if this is going to fix it, but I'm going to go ahead and add security groups. And I'm going to just add the same ones that are being used for this one. So we have this one. We'll add that one. And I'll also add the default one. I just want a higher chance of this working, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so those have now been added. For this to take effect, we need to restart this instance. So I'm going to go ahead and reboot this instance. I'm going to just give it no, we'll do a reboot. Reboots are fast. This will disrupt this environment, but it will only disrupt it for just a moment. Okay, usually these reboots occur very quickly. And we can try this again, maybe. Okay, so now it's hanging, which is what I expected. So what I'm going to do is just close that tab out. And I'm going to go back over to Cloud9. And it's weird that Cloud9 is not on any of the exams because it's such a useful utility, but for some reason they just leave it out. Okay, so we'll go back and now it's back in a ready state. We'll go open it up in Cloud9 again. So we'll get our environment running up here. There we go. And we will go ahead and just make sure that everything's in good shape. We'll do a bundle install first. And then I want to do a bundle exec ruby.main. And it appears to be hanging because again, it should establish a connection extremely quickly. So not exactly sure why we're having an issue here. Yeah, we still have a timeout. All right, let me figure this out. You know, one thing that we could try to do, and again, I don't think this is going to fix it, but, and you really shouldn't do this, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and try to open up the ports completely on this one here for the inbound ports. So I'm going to go edit this, and I'm just going to add another rule here, and we'll say all TCP ports. And so maybe this will resolve that issue. So go back over to here. If that doesn't work, we can also try the Mongo SH client, but we'll have to install it. So we'll try this again. So that's not working. I guess the other thing is when we modified it, would any of this information change? I don't think so. I think this would be the exact same query string. So that might be another thing that we might care about. So if we go here, yeah, I don't think anything's changed because it's based off this naming schema. I guess the other thing is, like, would it have to be the same subnets? No, I don't think so. I mean, the other thing is that if we got our password wrong, but I'm pretty certain password's very easy to spell, and I did not make that mistake. So because that's not working, I'm going to go ahead and try to install the Mongo SH client. So we'll go back over to here, and for the Mongo shell, oh, it's a TGZ package. I just want like Mongo SH Ubuntu install. I just want to have an easy way to install this. And they don't make anything easy here today, do they? Okay, so I gotta go to the community version here. And then we gotta go down below. Where's the Mongo shell? It's a bit more confusing now because they split these into community versions. So it says Mongo's interactive shell. Also, if you would like to download the Mongo shell separately from the server, you can install the shell as a standalone package following these steps, which is what I want to do. Access the download page, select your preferred version and platform, copy the thing to your file system. So we go here, right? And I keep saying MongoDB Atlas, and that's not what I want. Maybe it's under tools. Here we go. It's under shell. Why would they put that there? I have no idea. And we'll drop this down, and we want to use this with Ubuntu. I'm going to assume that we are compatible with this. Debian package is totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and copy the link because I don't want to download it here. I want to download it in Cloud 9. So we'll go back to Cloud 9. Does it have curl in here? It'd be nice if it did. It does. Excellent. So I'm going to curl this, and I'm going to paste in this link. I think we have to do -o for this. There we go. And so now we have our .deb file. So that is step 1. And yeah, so here we have our deb file. Import the public key for the package manager. They're not making this easy. Create a list for the MongoDB here. I have no idea what version we're on, so that's another issue. Okay, I don't like this solution. I feel like this is very convoluted for us to get this to work. I think what I should do is figure out what's wrong with the client. I'm going to pause the video. I'll figure it out. When I'm back, I'll have the solution, okay? All right, I don't have the solution just yet, but I just wanted to show you that I figured out how to get the Mongo shell installed. So I found out that I had the jammy version by running this line. I found out I had version 3 of OpenSSL because when you install the shell, you want to install with your OpenSSL version, which this one's using version 3. And then we have these lines. This will be in the docs here, so you can bring this into Cloud 9. And actually, you know what? I'm doing this here, and what I'm kind of forgetting is that I'm supposed to do this over in Cloud 9. So what I'll do is run this in Cloud 9 and see if it works. It's not connecting here for obvious reasons. So I guess I'll just do that right now. So I'm going to go over here, back to Cloud 9. I mean, it's kind of good that I did it in the wrong place, so we can do this twice. We'll go ahead and copy this. And I guess I didn't really check the OpenSSL version, so we'll check this one here. OpenSSL -v -version. What? Where is OpenSSL? Is it not there? It is. OpenSSL -version. Okay, can I do help? OpenSSL. I mean, it's clearly installed, but I don't know what version it is. What is going on here? Okay, let me try this again. Where is? This says 1. So this is making me think that this is running version 1. So maybe instead of doing 3, I should do 1 here. So go back to our installation instructions. Sorry for all the confusion. This is 1.1. Let's go back over to here. Say which. Yeah, this is running 1.1, I think. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and just switch this out. I really thought I had it working. But we'll go ahead and do this update now. Because we do need SSL or TLS or something like that in order to establish that connection, or it's not going to work. And then I'll install this version here, I guess, if it will take it. Whenever it decides to go, there we go. We'll hit enter. Whoops. Hit enter again. Okay, can't find that package. Let's just try OpenSSL then. Can't find that package. Maybe it is using 3 and I just don't know it, you know? We'll go back and try this one again. What a pain. Can't find that package. All right, we'll just try standard, I guess. So that's making me think that this did not add the package. So we did this. We updated this. Okay, just going to carefully read this here. Oh, we have a GPG issue. That's why. And they suggested that that could happen. So what we'll do is go back over to here, and I'll scroll up. And it's here. We have to import the public key. Hopefully we don't have to install GPG or GPN GPU, whatever you call it, because it's always a pain to install that every time. Okay, it's cool that it printed it out. Does that mean that it's been added? Sudo T, yeah, so it's been added to our source trusted, or at least it looks like it has. We'll go ahead and go back up to this and try this again. And do an update here. So hopefully it'll add it this time. I'm going to go back here and just update my instructions to include this. Okay, great, so that's now working. Again, I probably will try 3 because it seems like 3 is what should work here. But it didn't specify the version when I did OpenSSL, so that makes me concerned that it's not using that one, which is OpenSSL. Where is OpenSSL? So yeah, I really think it's using 1.1. So I'm going to go back and try this one again. It's not installable. Okay. What if we do then the other one? OpenSSL version 3. We'll take this one. It is, so I'm going to assume that it is using 3. It'd really be weird if it was using 1.1. But I'm not sure why it wouldn't show us the version there. Okay, good. So let's go type in Mongo sh -- version. And so we have a version installed. Okay, good. So now the question is, can we establish a connection? That's all I want here today. Make my life easy, please. And it looks like we have a connection. So I'm thinking what's happening here is that there's an issue with the Mongo Ruby driver. Maybe it's for a specific version of Mongo, or it's not using TLS or something. But it appears that we have a connection established here. Now, I don't know how to use the Mongo sh, Mongo shell, so give me a moment. We'll find out some commands we can use here. All right, so the simplest command here is the db command. I'm going to pull this off screen so you don't have to watch me toggle back and forth. Let's type in db. It looks like we are connected to the test database currently, which is interesting. So I'm going to scroll on down. And I suppose here we can insert something. So I'm going to go ahead and type in db my collection insert 1. This looks a lot like the API that is for JavaScript, which was the default, or sorry, the original driver for Mongo. And so again, I'm just following the code that they have here off screen here. Retriable writes are not supported. Okay, I'm just trying to do what's here. All right, so far, we are not getting anywhere. Just give me a second here. All right, so what it's suggesting is that like if there's a failure and it tries again, then there's an issue. And so they're suggesting here that we can just turn it off here so we don't get that warning for this connection. Obviously in production, you probably wouldn't want to do that, but we'll do this for now because we just want this to kind of work. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this line. I'm going to go back over to our database here. I'm going to just type in exit. I'm not exactly sure how we get out of there. There we go. And what I want to do is go ahead and grab that full line again. And so we'll see if we can reestablish that connection. We'll hit enter. Okay, so supposedly we have a connection. I'm going to go ahead back to this documentation here for the run commands. If you're looking for it as well, I'm going to just place it in the docs here so you can copy and paste these along and see if you can make better progress than myself. But I'm just trying this db my collection insert one command. Now it's suggesting that we are connected to the test database. I'm going to go ahead and try this again. And so now it's at acknowledge and it's inserting the object. So that is a good indicator that that is working. So that is good. So it looks like we're just using the standard queries here, and they have this here, the perform CRUD operation. So we can probably leverage that to query some stuff. So what I want to do is just query for some data here. And so I wonder what we could do. Maybe we could type in DB. What was our collection called? It's just called my collection. My collection. If what happens if I hit enter? Nothing. Dot find. And so here we have one record return, right? So if you leave it blank, it'll just have nothing. If we want to try to find this particular record, we could do X1 and returns exactly that record. So now that is working. Good. I would really like to get our driver to work, because if you're going to use MongoDB, it's going to be programmatically with a document driver. So, I mean, this has a connection string URL. I wonder if we could, I don't think we could, but I wonder if we could include, if we like put S in here, like would that force it to use the correct connection? Because sometimes that is what it is. It's that or plus SSL. And we know that it uses a secure connection. So I'll type in exit here, and what we'll do is go ahead and try this. And again, this is just me using my brain, my big brain from other things, and seeing if this solves our problem. So it doesn't like that as the connection schema. But there is one called SRV, which I don't know what SRV is for. Maybe it's server versus MongoDB. Is that for the server? Can we get an answer what the difference is? Supported by all drivers. Let me just read this quickly. This is just saying it's a newer way to connect. Okay, I'm not really sure if we actually have to use that. But yeah, I'm going to go see if there's some way to set like a flag for SSL explicitly for the Mongo client for Ruby. If I can't, we'll call this done. But it'd be, again, really nice if we could get this to work. Now I've gone over to the documentation here for creating a client, and there appears to be an SSL option. So I suppose that we can specify that. My only thought is, like, can we do that and provide a connection string URL at the same time? Which I'm not 100% sure. So we might need to break that up into separate ones. So yeah, I think we might have to just break up our stuff here to be the old style connection. So I'm going to go back over to here where we had our older code. And I believe in here, yeah, we kept this one around. Good. So what I'll do is go and modify it here in place, and then we'll copy the code over just so that we can have a reference of this later on. But there are a few things we want here. It's going to be the endpoint, so that's going to be this. Okay. And so I'll paste that in here. And I'm just going to speed through this, okay? I'll be back in a second. All right, so yeah, here it is. And so I'm just going to copy this over, and we'll go over to Cloud9, and hopefully this just, fingers crossed, works as expected. So we'll go ahead and paste it in here. I'm not sure why you can give an array of endpoints. I mean, I guess if there's multiple ones you want to write to or read to, maybe that's the reason why. I don't think we're supposed to have two of those there, so I'll get rid of one of those. And just notice that I changed the syntax. Instead of the arrows, I'm just doing this. It's just an alternate syntax here that looks a little bit nicer. So we do have an error here, assigned but not used. Oh. Yeah, why do we specify the database but don't use it? And we just use the client directly? Well, I don't think that's a problem. But anyway, if it is, we'll find out. I'm going to go ahead and hit up, and we'll see if we can get our connection now. And it was making an attempt to connect. Let's go take a look at here. Raised operation, authorization failed. Okay. Oh, we don't have a username and password. I think we're going to need that if we want to establish a connection. So maybe there's a place for like username here, username. Okay, where is it? Maybe it's under authentication. Yeah, username and password. Okay, that's as simple as that. So we'll go back over to our code, wherever that is, Cloud9. There you are, Cloud9. And so we're going to need, what does it say, user? So we said doc admin, and then password is going to be password. And then hopefully this just works. So we'll say writable retries is not supported. So we're still having that issue with the writable retries. And maybe that's just not supported by DocumentDB. I don't know. Because they did have a big page in the docs about features that it does have and doesn't have. And I kind of just ignored it because it's not super relevant. I didn't think we'd run into any specific issues if we kept it nice and simple. But apparently we are having issues. So if we go over to here, we have compatibility. So I'm just going to type in for retries. I'm not seeing anything about retries in particular, but then there's functionality differences. Retries, retriable rights. Let's go take a look at this. Starting with MongoDB 4.2, retries rights is enabled by default. However, DocumentDB does not currently support retriable rights. Aha, so that is the reason that we're having so many problems. So if that's the case, we will just want to turn that off. We could obviously have it as a query string, but we're not using a connection string URL because we didn't know how to add it for SSL. So what I want to do here is take a look at this and see if we can find that option. So we'll just look up for retries. Because they have read retries. Oh yeah, readable. Well, what was it? Writable or readable? Writable retries. So I'm going to go back to the docs. I'm going to assume that there's going to be like retry writes. There we go. We'll set that to false. Okay, we'll go down below. We'll type in clear. We will see if it works. Fingers crossed. Excellent. We're having less of an issue now. Undefined local variable client for this line here. And that makes sense because why would it be off a client? It would be off of the database. That makes more sense to me. Still has an issue. This is on line 47. Just type in client here. It's up here that this is the issue. So we should already have our client. So we'll just take that out of that query line. We'll try this again. There we go. We're printing out data. So this is working. So we are in good shape. We didn't run the insert many. I don't really care about doing that. I just wanted to see if we could insert and query it. So there you go. Sometimes this is the case with databases that you'll have a query string or a connection string URL and you just can't get it to work for whatever reason. So you'll have to break it out like that. It really depends on the driver and the implementation of the database and things like that. So just understand that it can vary like that. But I'm happy to see that we were able to accomplish it. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and save my code here for DocumentDB. So this will be DocumentDB. Okay, we'll save those changes. And then what I'm going to do here is go ahead and stop this workspace. I don't remember how to do that anymore. I used to know this off the top of my head because I used this for like ever. But I can just go back to the dashboard. We'll just stop it manually. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. So we'll go ahead and we will delete this. We'll say delete. And that should terminate it as well. Okay, and so that's deleting, supposedly. And I'm going to go over to our cluster, and we'll go ahead and get rid of our cluster. Hopefully there's no deletion protection on. I hate when that's turned on by default. And we'll go ahead and try to delete this cluster. and it appears to be deleting. So we'll wait here until it's deleted, okay? All right, so it looks like our cluster is deleted. I'm gonna go back over to Cloud 9, make sure that is gone, which it is, so we are in good shape here. So yeah, I think that's everything we wanted to accomplish here with DocumentDB. I'll commit this stuff so you can easily get access to this in the repo, but I'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.